Oh boy, another great opportunity to learn something new today. And my guest now is Kathy Powell. She's the Water Follies event director. This last time around, of course, was the 50th anniversary here in the Tri-Cities of Water Follies, and it was the Gold Cup. I mean, it was so big and wonderful to consider 50 years we've done this. So they put together a survey. Kathy, how was it that this survey was conducted?
You know, I want to give a shout out. Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Let's do a shout out. Okay.
Okay.
So East Development, it's a group of folks that they do sporting, kids, youth sports here in the Tri-Cities. Their focus is underprivileged kids, so kids that maybe can't afford equipment or they can't afford the cost to do sports, and they're covering all of that cost. So these guys, as a fundraiser, they go out and perform the survey for us. They performed it this year on both the Pasco side and the Kennewick side. So that's a great fundraiser for them. It benefits us, and we're happy to have them as a partner.
That's great. So how many surveys did you actually get?
We did about 650 surveys, and having to do with, of course, the typical demographics and so forth, but also what did you do while you were here in the Tri-Cities if you were traveling from out of town. So lots of good information, and you're the first to get it.
Yay! I like to hear that. Of course, it was at the Tri-Cities Visit Tri-Cities board meeting this morning. I mean, that's where
probably a super secret then.
All right, so tell me what some of the things are that you learned from this survey.
Well, you know, we had a few shifts because we've been doing this. We do this as part of the grant that we get from the Hotel Motel Association, but we had a few shifts, and some of that was typically we see a few more men than women, and our crowd is a little bit on the older side. But this year, gosh, we were spread out equally as far as age went, and also pretty much, well, actually a few more females than males. So that was an interesting shift for us. Glad to see that.
That is interesting. Let me share some numbers with people so that when they think about that, they'll know what we're talking about. 47% of the folks were female, 44% were male. Why? What do you attribute that to?
Oh my gosh. Well, you know, this was a party year for us. It was 50 years celebrating our big anniversary, and I think lots of folks just wanted to come down and celebrate with us. And then also we asked folks, how did you find out about us? And the majority of folks found out about it from their friends. And so looks like all those friends were bringing their gals along, or the gals were bringing more gals, or it just worked out pretty well for us.
Friends, so word of mouth, and you know what has to be the biggest, what do I want to say, message sender, of course, is Facebook. I bet a lot of people shared that on Facebook.
Oh, you know, we have a great following on Facebook, and that, you know, I bet you that is a pretty good route to get your message out. And I run our Facebook page, and I try and put a lot of really fun stories on there. And there was so much going on with the air show and the Gold Cup and unlimited hydroplane and all the backstories there. There's lots to put out. So I'm sure that using that format was very significant in bringing people down to the event.
Yeah. So you think that in the past they've been older folks, and older, what does that mean to you? 45 plus?
Oh gosh, well, given my age, let's see, that's a loaded question. You know, most of them, they're 35, 40 and up from there. But this year, gosh, spread out across the board, and you know, I try and get around and see what's going on. I pretend to be a guest and make sure that, you know, it's easy to get in, that there's lots of activities for folks to do. I just walk around, and gosh, I just found myself in the beer garden. I'm not sure how that happened, but there was a lot going in there, and a lot of young folks, and everybody was having fun, and they would all rush out and watch the races and then come back in and enjoy the beer garden, and just having a great time with their friends, and so yeah, it was just it was good to see the young people coming back. That's our future, and the sport of unlimited hydroplane racing needs those younger fans. So it was good to see.
They do. So if I look at this chart, what I see is that the biggest category age-wise is 25 to 34. So that's got to be really good news for your event and its longevity.
Oh, exactly. That is great news. And then also, you know, another piece of that puzzle is we ask folks, is this your first time to the event, second, third, fourth, 5 or more? And you know, in some years we've had sort of blank space in the middle of there. You know, you have your first timers and you've had your 5 or more. And we love our dedicated fans. We absolutely love them. But we're also excited to see that there's people that are coming back for a second, third, and fourth time. They're finding value and fun in our event, and they're coming back. And that is also great news, not only for us, but for the sport. You know, we share this information with the Unlimited Hydroplane Racing folks, and they use these data for sponsorships to go out and show the folks that might be interested in getting involved in unlimited hydroplane racing, who's looking at these boats, and you know, are people dedicated to following them, and this is good information.
Well, it's very good, especially on a commercial point of view. So, I mean, you really, if you're selling a product of a group that is highly valued, is the 25 to 34. Exactly. So that's all good news to you.
Yes.
Now, let's take a look at, let's see, where people stayed. I thought that was pretty interesting, like overnight and all.
Right, right. Well, you know, we talked to the Visitor Convention Bureau. We work with them to find out how many hotel rooms were sold during our weekend, and I really like seeing that there's a pretty fair amount of folks that are coming in Thursday and staying through Sunday, and they're staying in the hotels, they're staying in RVs and with friends. You know, a good majority of them are staying with their friends, and so you know, you can kind of think that, well, people are using this as an opportunity to have their family reunions or have friends come in and stay with them, and so it's just good all the way around. And while they're here, what are they doing? They're shopping, they're eating in restaurants. A crazy amount of people were out on boats or took jet boat tours or walked the river, and that's all good information to say, hey, you know, this is what we got going in the Tri-Cities, and people are really enjoying it.
Absolutely. Your biggest category there is, well, obviously restaurants. That was like 59% of the folks said that they went to restaurants. But the other wonderful thing is the shopping that you're talking about, 55%. So that's good information. Wine tasting, golf, movie theater, 17%.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Maybe that was to escape some of the hot weather, huh?
Oh my gosh, we had the best weather, a little bit of wind, you know, but yep, I get it. Well, what about the convenience stores and gas stations?
Yes.
You know, all those guys are selling ice and beverages and putting all the necessary staples together for them to get down to the park and have a great time.
We got to take a break here, but when we come back, I want to learn some more from you about how you use this information and what do you do next after you do 50 years? How are we going to see some change? Are we going to see some changes in 51? We're back in a moment. Talking about 50th anniversary survey of participants from Water Follies, and my guest is Kathy Powell, Water Follies event director. So a couple of other things that were on this survey that I thought were pretty interesting was this your first year to visit the Tri-Cities, the first time to visit the Tri-Cities, and do you plan on returning? Did any of that surprise you? I mean, it's good stuff.
Oh, well, you know, I was excited to see how many people, you know, they've been here before, of course, and we had a few out there that this was their first time, and I'm just going to like veer off and randomly and say I met a lot of people from Australia. And so this was their first time to the Tri-Cities. Hopefully they'll want to come back. But yeah, and a lot of folks from Detroit, they had not had the opportunity to see the Gold Cup in Detroit, and so they made their way out here to see the race. So they're probably spoiled now. But probably the most exciting piece of that information is 90% of the folks said they are coming back. And so that means the Tri-Cities is doing it right. We're offering guests to the Tri-Cities, you know, a fun-filled time here. We have lots of things to do. People are enjoying it and they want to come back.
That is good news all the way around, not just for Water Follies, but I mean, obviously it's important to you, but for everything else that's going on in tourism right now. All right, so last year, 50th anniversary, you were really, I mean, right place, right time, got the Gold Cup. basically Detroit kind of defaulted on that. Wouldn't that be a fair way to describe it?
Right. They were struggling financially, and so they weren't able to put on their race, and we stepped up and brought that Gold Cup out here. Fortunately, there was a lot of people that band together, and they did have a race later on. So that's good news. They'll continue to have a Detroit race.
Yeah, we need them to continue because we actually need the circuit for it to be really great here in the Tri-Cities. What do you think is your future possibility of getting the Gold Cup back? I mean, is it going to move around, or is it going to stay in Detroit?
You know, the history of the Gold Cup was, I think it was an East Coast, West Coast battle, and the drivers that won that cup decided when the next, or where the next site for that race would be, and then it became a bidding process, and then through circumstances it just became a Detroit race, and it lost some of its splendor, my opinion, and so bringing it out to the Tri-Cities and refreshing it, if you will, getting the publicity out there about the Cup and what the Cup stands for and the history of it, you know, the oldest motorsports trophy and the significance of that. I think we freshened it up, and so I'm hoping that it will continue to travel. And I know the plans for it in 2016 are for it to go back to Detroit. They'll be celebrating their 100th anniversary. Isn't that something? We're youthful here at 50 years, but they're going on 100 years. And then I think there's a few of us that are looking to Seattle to get serious about bringing that back out here to the West Coast in 2017.
All right, so the 50th anniversary was a big deal. What did your attendance numbers tell you? What kind of results did you get out of the 50th anniversary?
Holy smokes, we had so many people in the park. It was the best time. Our Friday was just crazy. There was, you know, the fans were just everywhere. It was just so awesome to see, and we had somewhere between 75 and 80,000 people in the park over the 3 days, which you know, that exceeded our expectations. Wow! And it exceeded our expectations so much. I understand some of the portlets ran out of toilet paper. I apologize for that right now. Ooh. But anyway, so we'll do better next time. But yeah, we had just terrific numbers here, and we're very excited. It was the perfect storm, and I know storm is kind of the wrong word to use since we had a little wind on Saturday. But having the Gold Cup, having our 50-year anniversary, and those Patriot jets, what about that? You know, we have not, awesome. Oh my goodness, we've not had a multi-jet demonstration team in our little tiny air box, and so that was just a sight to be seen, I gotta say. Perfect event. Now you're going to ask me, how do I top it? I feel that coming on.
Do you? Well, just go ahead and answer your own question then.
Well, gosh, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, so I'll just... No,
come on, give us a little nugget of something.
You know,
what are you thinking?
Gosh, we're just now getting back in. The board is working to... well, actually, you know, they're just... doing their event reports for all of the positives they saw and the opportunities to improve, and we're getting set to start into our budget process, and then we'll look towards what we need to do for 2016 to keep that excitement up and keep those folks coming down to the event.
You've avoided the question, but anyway.
I hope I was successful.
You know, I think that I have to say, from my point of view, which is, you know, really amateurish, but Steve David just brings a lot of positive to the sport itself, and he has already said he's short term. He's not going to be forever. Is he still in charge of H1, or has he already stepped down? Oh, nope, he's still chairman. Good. Yeah, I'm just coming back from San Diego. We had the San Diego Bay Fair race this last weekend, and oh my gosh, that was well attended, and we had the best racing. Again, you know, this year has been probably the most competitive unlimited hydroplane racing, and so, you know, the fact that they have a strong fleet of competitive boats, and Steve bringing the teams and the owners together to talk about
you know, building the sport, building the business in a very positive way. I foresee that, you know, when Steve steps down, he'll still be involved, but they'll find that next person to come along and just continue to work on what he's built, and I'm sure he'll still be there to offer that guiding arm, and I see a bright future for unlimited hydroplane racing.
Well, I love to hear that. So does everybody else here that lives in the Tri-Cities. Even if you don't like racing, you love the economic shot.
Even
That's
if
for
you
sure.
don't like racing, what are they, nuts?
Yeah. All right, Kathy Powell with Water Follies and results of your survey. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh,
Really
thank you,
appreciate it.
Christine.
We're back in just a moment.